This episode is what the Old Boy podcast is all about. When we were putting this together, we were talking about all the different things that we wanted to include and talk about. And Kaycee Feild pretty much summed it all up. 6-time world bareback horse champion, won 4 in a row, then came back and won 2 in a row. What this guy did and his mentality, the way he talks about how he prepared, is absolutely insane. And then not do we only talk about that body of work, but we're also going to talk about life after rodeo, multiple businesses, how he has started it up, how much he enjoys entrepreneurship. I will tell you right now, as far as podcasts go, the Old Boy podcast, for me, this is the leader in the clubhouse.
Man, do you hear that? Look at here. They're coming. They're coming. We're going to have a party. I'm talking good on barbecue.
Hey guys, welcome to this episode of the Old Boy podcast, and it is going to be a dandy. We have 6-time world champion bareback rider Kaycee Feild with us today, and we're going to talk a little bit about his career, but we're also going to talk about life after rodeo as he's announced his retirement last year, and kind of this is the first year full-time being dad, businessman, husband, and all the stuff in between. So happy to have Kaycee on. Kaycee, thanks for joining us, bud.
Sure, appreciate it, Chad. I'm excited to be on here. This is a good podcast, and looking forward to our conversation.
Absolutely, man. So I want to kind of start a little bit at the beginning, and then we'll kind of follow through. And I really want to spend some time talking about some of the businesses you started up. And I think a lot of times too, you know, regardless of your career or profession, you know, when to start looking ahead, you know what I mean? And just, you know, in some of the research for this discussion, you know, I saw you make a comment once about, you know, just keep your head on a swivel. Don't, you know, when it comes to business and opportunities, just keep an ear out, you know, find out what things are going on and see where some of those opportunities lie. So I look forward to delving into that a little bit. Starting kind of with the bareback career, you know, it kind of seems like you're brought up around rodeo with your pop, you know, you and your brother jumping in the truck and running around on the circuit with him, and then kind of deciding at a young age, around 13, that, man, you wanted to do bareback and you weren't just going to do it. You're going to do everything you could to be the best at it. Where did that kind of drive and passion come from?
For sure, my father and my mom, they were always the ones that built us up when we were little, whatever we did. If it was little league soccer, junior rodeo, football, when we got in the truck and we were driving back to the house, you did great. You're amazing. I can't believe how tough you were. You're a winner. Just, you know, totally building us up. And then, you know, 11, 12 years old, I started getting on full-size bucking horses and messed around with it. And 13, my body started to develop. And the bareback riding, it seemed like, you know, it fit who I was. I like to ride snowmobiles, dirt bikes, kind of an adrenaline junkie, I guess you could say. Nicely, but the bareback riding is kind of a wild ride, and it fit me pretty well. And at a young age, there was always world champions and champions over at the house visiting with my mom and dad, and my dad giving them some pointers and stuff like that. And so at a young age, it was clear to me that the rodeo world is where I wanted to start my career and really push myself and see how far I could take it. I seen my dad win 5 world titles and everything that he did to go through and make that happen. And with his genetics and my mom's too, I thought, you know what, I'm capable of that. Why not go after it and give it all I have?
Well, and I love that, you know, we've had some folks on that we've got to talk to, and I love the generational stories. You know what I mean? I think that's part of what makes rodeo and the cowboy life is so special. You know what I mean? It is a family, and your kids are going to be raised around it, and then they can make their own opinion if they want to be part of it or not. You know what I mean? Like, it's just cool to see these multi-generational, you know, rodeo and cowboy families. I feel like that's a lot of what kind of weaves, you know, who we are as Americans and the true folks that are getting it done and out there, you know, running the roads every week.
You know, like you said, America, you hit it spot on. To me, every person has dreamed of wearing a cowboy hat and being in the West. And you think about that, that's the most American iconic symbol there is the Western cowboy. And my kids growing up in it and having the opportunity and to watch me prepare for my goals and accomplish my goals is a huge advantage. And to be able to give those kids, my kids, neighbor kids, what it is, just a taste of the sport of rodeo, so they can find the interest, because it is a dying breed, and if you're not raised in it, it's kind of hard to learn about it and try to get into it. And so I kind of take that upon myself to continue the legacy that my dad started. Now being retired from the sport, I can spend some more time with the youth, and embrace what the cowboy hat means, embrace what the cowboy boots mean, and going up and down the road, and the cowboy hat and cowboy boots grabs of a lot of attention, and to represent it well, and understand the importance of it is something that I stress tremendously.
Well, and I love your discussion there about, it is hard, if you don't come from a cowboy or a rodeo family, like how do you break into this? And I know you've done some pretty cool things like, the cowboy outfitters and different things where you guys go out to the youth and help, help, spread the word, give some kids some instruction. Would you say besides that adrenaline junkie part of like being, in the middle of the, NFR finals, like one of the most rewarding things of that job is being able to give back and seeing those young kids, take what you teach them. And you've been in it long enough. You've probably seen some kids that you've put hands on, that you've worked with, go on and have a career. Like that has to be one of the most rewarding parts of this.
It really is. Having the opportunity to go around to city and go visit the children's hospitals, or even have kids in the stands, yell your name and look up to you. That's a gratifying feeling. But to give back and give these kids the opportunity to get on a bucking horse, to come to the rodeo and figure out even what event they want to be involved in, is a very gratifying reward for me. It's in our blood. We like to help people. The Feild family, it's something that my dad, I guess, instilled in us at a very young age, is giving back and helping. And when you see a young man have the try and the determination to climb over a buck and shoot and get on a bucking horse before they even nod their head, man, it's cool. It's like, heck yeah, dude, you're doing it. I know you're a street kid. You come out of the country, you don't have a damn clue what's going on. I wish you the best, but here we go. You got to give it your all right here, buddy. It's cool to see that. Jess Pope, for instance, he's a world champion bareback rider. He come to the locker room in 2019. He brought a senior project, and he had a picture of me at a rodeo school he went to of mine, and here he is, and he won a world champion. And I'm like, man, you're a punk kid making fun of me. I know you are, bringing that your book report to the locker room, but thanks a lot, because it does mean a lot to me, and to see you being successful is something amazing, and that's something that I like to treat or like to teach with these kids. It's, if they're not going to be a rodeo cowboy, I hope when they come to my school that I've taught them something that will benefit them in their real life and everyday lives that they live. And when you see a kid live and he's more ambitious about tomorrow, that's a kick-ass day, man. It's awesome.
I completely agree with you. And talking about giving back, you've also been great at also giving back to our military. I know you've been to 10 different, forward serving countries, along, with Wrangler and one of the programs that they had. I think that just speaks volumes of what kind of person you are.
Well, I sure appreciate that. But them guys lay their lives on the line every day. I get to do it on the weekends. It's scary and dangerous, but it ain't like going and getting shot at, And so I've been very fortunate. I was endorsed by Wrangler for a short period of time in my career. Now I'm with Ariat, but to be a part of the Wrangler National Patriot Program and go overseas and visit the troops and give thanks was that I credit a lot of those times to my success. I grew up a lot. I've always had deep respect for the military, but going and seeing it firsthand is eye-opening. It made me grow up. These guys, I'd go and work out with them in the morning, and they're going out for war, and they're doing the same workouts I am. It's like, dude, quit being a pussy. You need to go home and push yourself a little harder. These guys are going to war, and you get to go and play rodeo cowboy with all your buddies and cross off goals. These guys are just protecting and trying to stay alive. And so learning what I did overseas and everything that I experienced, it really is shaped who I am today. And I do have a deep respect for our military, and They don't get enough thanks as it is. And that's another thing I want to teach these kids. If you see a military man, you give thanks, you go show appreciation. That's, we're here
Absolutely.
because of them.
Yep. And I totally agree with you. And going back to Americana, I mean, that's two things right there. You take a Western cowboy and a soldier, man, it doesn't get more Americana than that.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And it's pretty amazing. You know, you talk about the rodeo cowboy and, the close knit family that it is and the camaraderie between us. And then you go overseas and you go to these bases and it ain't no different than behind the buck and shoots with the guys, you know, and they're getting ready just like we get ready and their mentality is exactly the same and relatable on so many different levels and talking about hunting or fishing or whatever it be at home and you know, like I'm at home on the weekends or on the weekdays, and then on the weekends I got to leave and go do my job. And you know, there's instead of weeks and weekends, it's months and years. And so you if you can relate with them a little bit, you know, and just talking to them, you when you're over there and you see their face light up with joy, just because they see a little taste of home, that's it's pretty neat, man. And
Yeah.
it's cool that and the rodeo world and the cowboy hat right now is so ripe and is getting so noticed. And I'm proud to be a cowboy right now in America. It's the American people. It seems like they're going back to their roots. And since COVID, there's a little different feeling nowadays. The last few years around the United States, going to all the rodeos and observing all the fans in the stands. You know, it's COVID, I hated it, all of it, or whatever came with it. But yeah, I think it did a lot for our country and unified the people that you know understood what was going on. That it was not that big of a deal. It's going to pass. Mm-hmm. We're all going to be in the same place. We're all still friends, and we all still can be able to go and do what we want to do.
You know what? I'm not even going to add to that because I can't say it any better. I completely agree with you wholeheartedly. I feel like rodeo is one of those places where, you know, like-minded people can gather, you know what I mean? And whether that be, you know, us knowing what went through with COVID, whatever it may be, but people, high values, common thoughts, common beliefs. It's just a great place for that.
You know, and I think it goes beyond rodeo. I've been able to, in the past few years, go overseas. And to me, what it breaks down to is the horse and how unifying the horse is. You think about it and you go around the world and there's horses everywhere. And the people that are attracted to that horse are from all corners of the earth and races and whatever the discipline on that horse to accomplish the job, whether it be rodeo or ranching or Coke Peru in Kazakhstan. You know, it's the horse, the cowboy. Don't get me wrong, I'm a little biased to the cowboy, but the horse is, you know, worldwide is a very unifying animal, and it's one of the reasons why it's my favorite animal.
I think that's an amazing take. That's a really good point. I had not thought about looking at it that way, but that is so true. I want to go back a little bit to your career for a second and kind of getting started. We talked about being young and coming up, and then you kind of go through the high school ranks, you know, win a big championship there. But then another just super cool thing is you go to ride at Utah State and no other than your dad is the coach there. Like, that's super rad, man. That had to be awesome.
No, it was awesome. It was so much fun. That was a period I look back on quite frequently with memories of my dad. And you know, my dad, we weren't well off or anything like that. He still had to work, and he took that job for his kids. He took that job so that we could go to college for free, and that we could be on the rodeo team. And I remember I had hell of school. I'm not going to lie. I hated sitting in the class. I got horrible grades. I was damn lucky to rodeo, even in high school. And then to go to college and sit there and listen to a professor, it was a tough thing for me. But it's one of the awards that I'm the most proud of is my college championship. One, it was for my dad's rodeo team, and having him on the back of the chutes and not only pulling for me for his son, but also for the Utah Valley University rodeo team. And we represented them well. And we were actually going up there, and it was my first year out of the house. Well, it should have been. And we were driving up there, and, my dad's talking about going to school next year, and what am I thinking? And I'm thinking, Dad, no, hell no, I'm not going back. This is what's going in my mind. I want to go rodeo. I want to hit the road. And I said, you know what, Dad, you're charging me rent to live with you. You're making me pay my insurance now. How about this? If I win the world championship, you don't charge me rent anymore, and I don't have to go to school next year. He's like, yeah, all right, let's go. Because I sucked. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't the best bareback rider at that time, and won the first 2 rounds at the college finals, and before the 3rd round, before the short round, there was like a light bulb came on, and it was like, hey, this is who you are. This is what you can do. You give it your all. And I remember winning it, and getting off a horse called Hypnotic of the Harry Vold Rodeo Company, dear friend of mine. They were pulling for me, and the words that my dad spoke to me that evening, and what he advised me to do as far as my rodeo career was probably more of a buddy, more of a good friend than a dad at that time. And he's like, you know what, you get a good traveling partner. You get someone that has a like mind like you, that has ambition and goals, and go win a world title. You have the mental power to do it. Go take advantage of who you are and what you have become. And I went to Reno, and it was like, man, I put my gear bag down and just have so much confidence. It wasn't even funny. It was a neat little stretch of my life.
Well, sure. And then, you walk right out of that and then put it together and qualify for the national that same year. I mean, that's a hell of a start. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was, that first NFR was pretty wild. A college kid winning the college finals, and I had a lot of luck throughout the summer and going to the NFR. And I had been there since I was a little kid. It was nothing new to me. And, but the way that I approached it those first 2 years were a young man's mentality. I will say that, but it was a wild, good time. And the first year, I remember it like yesterday, coming over the hill, going south on I-15 and rolling into Las Vegas and seeing the bright lights. And I say I'd been to Vegas and had the experience, but the first time I rolled over that hill and seen the lights, I had goosebumps like I had never had. And me and my travel partner Tilton Hooper, we were rocking and rolling, ready to be there, ready for the horses. So it was a neat time.
I bet it is. I mean, you think about that. That's that goal you put out there, is to get there and to win it, and boom, you're there. Like, oh shit! Well, now's the hard part. I got to try to win it. You know what I mean? Like, we made it. Now the real work starts. And that's, for us that aren't like hardcore rodeo, explain that difference of at the Nationals, where you have to run those 10 rounds compared to, what a normal rodeo weekend looks like.
Yeah. So like I take the season as practice. This is where I can try things. I'm feeling the pressure from the audience. I'm feeling the pressure from walking into the arena. The atmosphere at the rodeos there's a lot of energy that you can't replicate. And so in the rodeo season, I would be, 180, 185, a little softer, because you get on horses that aren't the best. They beat you up. You get in wrecks. You get smashed in the shoe. The pickup man runs you over. But when you get to the NFR, you need to be as hard as rock and be ready for 20 bucking horses. And the way that I would train for the NFR was completely different from the rodeo season. And one reason is because you're getting on the very best horses. With the 15 bareback riders that qualified go through and vet the horses and make sure they are of National Finals Rodeo caliber horses. And so when I got to the rodeo, when I got to the NFR, there was no room for mistakes. Absolutely not one mistake. Not letting your toe roll up, not letting your free arm fall to the side, or even letting my hat fell off. I hated when my hat fall off. What kind of bucking horse picture is there without a cowboy hat on it? I mean, it's not a cowboy picture, you know? And so when I got to the NFR, I really, really dove down into the details of winning, of looking the best, riding the best every single night. I honestly feel like that I could have rode 20 bucking horses every year I went there. I seen what it took. I was very fortunate to watch my dad go to the NFR, and then after he retired, the friends that would come and stay with us on their way to the NFR, and when they would come back, and all of them were sore, and oh, it's 10 days of bareback ride, you know, and I took that upon myself to not get sore. I am going to do whatever I can to ride perfect, and you know, I did have mistakes. Don't get me wrong. I've been bucked off 2 times at the NFR, um, but again, when I got to the NFR, in my mind, I would never say this to anybody else, humbly saying, but when I put my gear bag down, I put it down with authority. I put my rigging on with authority. I'm there. I'm the best. You're second. You're third. You're not even going to win a check. This horse that you think I've won on this horse 10 times. You can't even ride him. You know, and so to be mentally and physically ready for the NFR and the atmosphere that it presents, the nightlife, the endorsement possibilities, your family supporting you. There's so many different distractions while you're there that are easy to fall into. So when I would get there, it was like, okay, it's 10 days, no distractions. You have your family with you here in your room every night. Turn your phone off. We're here for business and
Yep.
you know, for writing business. And then the sponsorships, if you do good and you accomplish the goals that you have written down, the sponsorships and the business and
Will come.
the pluses will come after.
All right, proud sponsor of the show, better damn well be Whiskey Bent BBQ. So this is a brand that Nicole and I started a little over a decade ago. You can find our rubs and seasonings in about 500 different retail locations throughout the U.S., Academy Sports, Select, Ace Hardwares, and then obviously here at our store in Lakeland, Florida. If you want to go check it out, please feel free to. WhiskeyBentBBQ.com, and you can use my discount code OldBoyPodcast for 15% off. I love that. And hearing you describe that preparation, you almost make it sound like the easy part is getting on the back of that bucking horse in front of those sold out crowds, because it's like mentally in your head, you're already there. Like now, like between the training you've done physically and the training you've done mentally, like, well, now we just got to go play it out. That's the confidence of a champion. That's the preparation of a champion. Like, did you have that type of feeling? Like, I'm so ready for this. Like now it's just open the chute. Let's fucking do it.
Exactly. When I got there, I was craving it. I was hungry. There's not a bucking horse that can buck me off. I'm the man. Open the gate and let me show you what I can do. Draw me the rankest, meanest bucking horse in the pen, and I'm going to show you how to do it perfect. You guys are scared of him, and you're lucky to ride him. Let me show you how to do it with a little style.
God, I love that, man. It's like the classiest swag ever. You know what I mean? I mean, that is like, but like, if you're going to jump on the back of that thing that could kill you, if you're not in that headspace, you probably shouldn't be on the back of it. You know,
I have been in the rodeo arena and put myself in a very vulnerable place because I didn't have that mentality. The times that I did have injuries, it come from because when I woke up that morning, and I'll just have a bagel rather than 3 eggs. Damn it, I don't want to go 300 miles down the road to get on this piece of shit bucking horse. Man, this is tough. I'm a pansy ass son of a bitch, pretty much is what it boils down to. And then you nod your head, you're already behind. You know, yeah. Just take a thump and there you go, big boy. How'd that feel? You know, and so I learned from a young age though. You know, I went to the NFR 13 times, and so to get in the pattern of how to win in that city, because it's not just the Thomas and Mack, it's the whole city is upon your shoulders, I guess you could say. And to find a routine that works for you, to find you know, a time to rest. is something very key to come into the 10th round feeling as good as I did the first round. If you're not getting the proper rest, it ain't going to happen. And two, I would replicate come October 1st, the end of the season. I did everything exactly like I was at the NFR. I'd wake up at the same time. I would take a nap at the same time. I'd ride my bucking machine at the same time as the rodeo. I would have a beer after the bucking machine, just like at the rodeo. I would go to dinner at 11 o'clock in Utah, just like I was in Vegas. And I'd go to bed at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning and sleep until 9 or 10 o'clock. And that's not me. I'm go to bed at 9 o'clock and wake up at 5 o'clock. And so to make that transition, that's what it all was for, was the city, the weight that the city and the NFR brought on me.
Just that preparation and attention to detail, though, is, you think about football teams that'll fly in, 1 or 2 days before for a big game to acclimate to the time zone. Shit, bro, you were doing this for like 2.5 months.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's having your eye on one prize throughout the whole year. Like you talked about, the regular rodeos were practice, and then to change your daily regimen to make sure you're prepared for that 10 days. Like that is, but that's a level of commitment. If you truly care and you truly want to control everything you can to be a champion, that's the shit you got to do.
It is. And I've seen guys that have rode as good or better than me, and they get to Vegas and they win the first round, second round, the sixth round. Come 8th, 9th, 10th round, they're wore out mentally, physically. They didn't prepare for Vegas. They prepared to ride. Their challenge they're up against, but the challenge isn't just the ride. Like I said, it's a grueling 10 days if you let it be. The last 2 years I was there, I never even put ice on my elbow or on my neck. I was prepared for months and months in advance. But
dude, I absolutely go ahead.
I'm giving some of my tricks away. Now being retired, I can do that. But it's the preparation is something else I learned too from the military. I knew what working out was. I can do push-ups and sit-ups, but to actually train with a purpose is something I learned from our military.
That's actually a great point. It is from that military time and that experience you had with them, training for a purpose, training towards this one task or this set of tasks. That's once again just those steps in that preparation you go into, and then you see it pay off. I mean, we'd be remiss if we did not talk about this stretch from 2011 to 2014. I mean, back to back to back to back. First, that to me, like, amazing. And the records you set, in 11 with, the highest money ever won. So many cool things but now I'm understanding how you went on that stretch, because you were fully committed, and then to do it later in your career in 2020 and 2021, like that to me just speaks volumes of the preparation paying off. And, don't even say arguably. I mean, there's not anyone that's won more world championships than you have in bareback. I mean, the best to do it.
Well, I sure appreciate it. And man, Chad, you've done your homework. that was a while ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, but once again, that's one of those things that even 20 years from now, people will talk about, because it was 4 in a row, probably never be done again.
I appreciate you bringing that up, because from 11 to 14, I had no distractions. I started a family, but my wife was on my team. I started riding better, rodeoing better when I got married. She was on my team. She's my biggest supporter. And so I credit a lot of my success to my wife and alleviating a lot of the stress at home. There's a lot of things that go on at home that you have no control of when you're out on the road. And so to have the team that I have the support that I have had, they understood what I wanted. Just, in 2012, I had won my first world title in 11 and set a lot of records. In 12, I wanted to beat those records. And we were at Thanksgiving as a family, and I'm horrible eater. I like sweet things. And my mom she's an amazing cook, and she just kept bringing me plates of food. And I'm like, no, I'm a month away. No, I'm a month away. And I finally said, Mom, I'm starting to get bugged. I feel like that you're not on my team and you want me to win another world title. And I'm being damn serious right now. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, I get it now. I'm so sorry. But like that right there, then my mom and my dad were more understanding of where I was at mentally, on top of what was going on in my life. And then in 12 I did well. 13, 14 it was amazing. I my preparation, the things that I was doing at home, it made the rodeo, well, not rodeo, but the bareback riding part of it almost effortless. It was like I got to the rodeo. I didn't matter what glove I had. I could put my rigging on and grab a main holt and ride one. And, but, humbly saying, but, that little stretch from 11 to 14, um, life was fast. A lot of things were happening, a lot of winning, a lot of interviews, a lot of people approaching me, a lot of people pulling me from different directions. And then in 15, when my dad was sick, it was like um, my strength to push away distractions was gone. I was looking for a lot of I needed loved, I guess you could say. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but grieving is something that everybody does different. And I was pushing everybody away. I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want anybody, I'd go to the rodeos, and every rodeo I went to, there was a tribute to my father. And it was like, gosh damn it, I got to ride a bucking horse. I'm here to win. And then I started, I was distracted. I'm not saying that my dad caused that or anything like that, but I allowed a lot of distractions to happen in my personal life. And then 16, 17 were slumps. I remember I had a dream of winning the American and winning the $1 million. I just bought a big new piece of property. Money was tight. I didn't know if I was, going to be able to get back on top again and be dominative. And then I won the American. I had Virgil. They did big tribute to my father, and it was like, man, to myself, I was saying, you have been such a bitch. You get to go and ride bucking horses. You get to go and do these things. No one has ever asked you to do it. This is all on your own terms. And a light switch went off, and it was like the bulb came on, and I had a second chance. And so 19, I refocused. I wrote down my goals like I used to, completely career oriented. 19 was a good year. I came pretty close to winning the world. 20 hit and COVID hit, and it was like the world shut down. And I watched some competitors of mine crumble with society. I thought to myself, man, I've been here. I've done this. My world's crumbled before. I'm going to capitalize on this moment. I'm going to go to the rodeos that are happening, and I'm going to win. And I'm going to go to the NFR if it happens, and I'm going to win. The if thing is back. Here I go. Heck yeah, And after that little stretch and winning 2 more world titles, that period of time from 19 to last year, it was special for me. The cameramen, the guys that latched the gates, other competitors, stock contractors. I acknowledged that they were there. I appreciated that they were there. I felt, that they were on my side and they wanted me to win, and to give thanks and just go and shake their hand and let them know that I know who they are. And then the opportunities to go to the children's hospitals. You get asked to do that a lot, to go to handicap rodeos, to do these things to make the sport look better. And a lot of the time when I was young and winning was all that was on my mind, I didn't. And it's disheartening to look back at, and I made those decisions. But I've grown up a lot, and I've learned from my mistakes, and that's where I was at the last few years. And to win the world in 21 and 22 or 20 and 21 again, means more to me than the first four, just because what life brings and the obstacles that you have to get through.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like too, like, and hearing you describe that, like you were more mature with those last two and those last really 4 years of your career to where you felt like maybe you were a better champion, right? Like you took all the opportunity that came along with it instead of just, all right, boom, now we got to start focusing on winning the one the next year. You know what I mean? Did I say that right? Or I don't want to put any words in your mouth, but that's the way I took it.
I'm a very spiritual guy and I pray a lot, and not that I was asking for what is my purpose, but I'm a tool for our Heavenly Father, for God. I'm on a pedestal for a reason. He's given me these opportunities to become who I have. And I can't even give thanks. Like, I'm on this pedestal for a reason to make a difference in other people's lives. This is an opportunity that I can better other people's lives for the better good, And I think that just comes with age and experience, but almost dying and saying a prayer, if you keep me alive, I'll do this. So
yeah.
So
and actually, that's a great segue. I would love to talk about that accident you had in 19, because a couple of things. One, it kind of helps us transition to one of the things you're doing in life after riding right now. But tell me a little bit about that day, about that wreck, like was it one of those days, how did you feel, like the whole 9 yards, kind of going into it, like how did that day set up, and then the aftermath?
So there's one record I don't hold, and that's the highest score ever, and I thought that was the day. I had Killer B, the world champion bucking horse. This is my chance, Austin, Texas, here I come. I'm lighting the world on fire. It was, I hit my head on the horse's hip, seen the white flash, went numb. And so about 6 seconds, I'm just kind of fight or flight mode, just try to keep the judge's attention, try to finish strong. Then she jerked me forward. I hit my rigging, broke my eye socket, nasal cavity, cheekbone, upper and lower jaw. Then I hit the ground. She went by and cow kicked me on top of the head, cracked my skull right above my ear right here. I thought, I didn't even think I was knocked out. I remember laying in the dirt, sucking in red dirt and trying to get up and trying to get up. And I felt these hands upon my shoulders, holding me down. And they bring the stretcher out, put me on the stretcher. I tell them to let me off the stretcher as soon as we get out of the arena, stand up, go to the sports medicine. And Sean Reedy, great friend of mine, he puts his hand on my hand. He goes, "Oh, brain bleed." He starts yelling brain bleed. And I don't know what a brain bleed is. I know it doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
He's freaking out. And so I stepped out of the sports medicine trailer. And when I hit the ground, I lost my vision. I could just see an outline of a human being. Started throwing up profusely. They strapped me to the wall in the ambulance because I was puking so much it was going up and coming back, and I was choking. So they strapped me to the wall. Get to the hospital. They scanned me every hour for 14 hours. Never stopped throwing up, dry heaving. Long night. And in that time, for the past year, I've been formulating a CBD. My wife gets there, gives me the CBD. I went straight to sleep. They scanned my head 4 hours later, no swelling. I was supposed to be there for 2 weeks. 5 days later, I drove home from Texas. Got home.
You drove home?
Me and my brother. My
home.
brother come and got me. Yeah, and I rode with him and he drove. My truck was down there. I'd leave a rig down there for the winter. And got home and I slept. I slept all of March. I slept all of April, and a little bit of May. I went out. It was just after my daughter's birthday, April 2nd. I walked probably 150 yards uphill to a hay barn and come back in, and it felt like I had been through the Murph challenge and just wiped out. So I was like, okay, this is, obviously I've really got to focus on rehab here. This is my brain. This isn't just a broken arm. So I slept 2 months straight. I didn't leave a dark room. I didn't look at my phone. I wouldn't watch movies, listen to a lot of books. And then when I was decided that I was going to be serious about coming back from that injury and making a statement. Um, Again, it was like, holy shit, this is awesome, man. You get a second chance, you get another opportunity. Won my first rodeo on the 4th of July when I came back, won second on a big bad horse in Livingston, Montana. But that was a humbling time in my life. I was on top of the world. I couldn't be hurt. I was Superman. And then the support that me and my family seen, our fridge was stocked full every day. People were bringing us dinners. The community of Genola, where I live, I'm very proud of. Very close community, and they really did take care of me and my family for a couple of months. Just a humbling experience.
And I feel like that is very much a Utah thing. Like I've worked for Traeger for many years. We've got our headquarters up in Salt Lake City, which, by the way, I'd love to have you come up and cook for you. So you're about an hour south of Salt Lake, aren't you?
I can be to the airport in 59 minutes.
There you go. Yeah, well, I'll have to trade some times with you when I'm out there, and if we can line it up, I'd love to have you come up and check out the HQ and cook some lunch for you. It's a really cool spot. But that's one thing I've always realized about Utah people. It's a very one, I was surprised how big rodeo was out there when I moved out there, and then two, it just has a real communal feel to it. Even in the big city, like it's very communal.
It really is. Just like this past weekend, a cop, he got ran over and passed away. And I leave work Monday morning, or leave the house to go to work at 8 a.m. Santa Quin. He was from Santa Quin, my hometown, and the town celebration in the summer during the parade, you couldn't have fit another person on the street Monday morning. The Macy's parking lot before you get on the interstate was completely full. There's American flags everywhere. And from my house all the way up into Lehigh, there was every overpass was covered with American flags to show the support. Utah is a very, very unique state, and to say that you were surprised at how the rodeo and the magnitude of the rodeo here in the state is a real thing. The energy in the arenas, you don't get that much other places, other states, and per capita, Utah has the best cowboys. I'm probably going to get in a couple maybe fights because of that with some Texans, but that's I'm very proud of.
We're not against controversy. Yeah, we're not against controversy
Texas
here at the Old Boy Podcast. You can say what you think.
I love Texas. It's a second home to me, but Utah and the Cowboys here, they're tough. They're tough guys, and I think it's genetics from when the pioneers come across the plains and the ones that made it. The pedigree lives on, and that might be a bold statement, but I believe it.
Yeah, I don't see any reason to refute it. I will agree with you based off my Utah experience. Yeah, no, it's real and it's cool, and I think it's like you said, Utah has its own unique subset of many things, but I was just surprised at the rodeo culture, and that's kind of cool to hear you back it too, because you obviously know much more of the history and background of it. But speaking of Utah, and one thing I kind of want to wrap your career up a little bit is you seem you seem super content and happy with hanging it up, even though you didn't finish off, one more year in Vegas, finished, 16th instead of 15th. But just reading, how you were talking about, went to Vegas this year for the NFR and had a great time just walking around, seeing things. Like never once had this angst to want to get on a horse. But once again, I mean, one thing we've learned during this whole discussion is like, your willpower and mind is fucking strong, man. So is it just one of those that when you made your mind up, you were just like, okay, I'm like, this is where we, kind of close this chapter and boom, here's the next one.
Well, it's just like riding bucking horses. When you nod your head, if you don't give it your all, you're going to eat shit. Yep. And the more I replicate my life like I'm riding bucking horses, and I wake up every morning with a purpose, and I put my foot down like I'm nodding for a bucking horse, it's a lot easier for me. I feel like I had a pretty good handle on bareback riding, and life throws obstacles at you just like bareback riding. And so the more that I live my life at replicating 8 seconds at a time, it's a lot different now, not making money at 8 seconds at a time. Net 90 is a new thing for me, which is bullshit. but I was contemplating on retiring right after I won the world title in 21. That was I was driving home and really debating on just putting my gear bag on the shelf and never getting it out again. But I had some goals that I still wanted to accomplish, and the last year I rodeoed, I didn't have that much fun. And if you knew me and know me, and when I was at the rodeo, there wasn't a guy that had more fun. Definitely took care of business. Don't get me wrong, but I have a lot of friends in the rodeo world, and definitely took advantage of that. But when I made the decision to retire, it was time for the next discipline. I'm ready to win in the next thing whatever I'm up against. I'm ready to use what it took to be a world champion bareback rider, and use the tools that I learned from rodeo into the next realm.
Proud sponsor of the show, Welder Nation. Man, I will tell you what, if you are looking for apparel that is built for that trade, this is made for the 0.1 percenters. Those folks out there putting apparel to the test, working some of the most dangerous jobs in some of the most dangerous places. The last thing you can have is faulty gear, faulty apparel. Go check out weldernation.com. Feel free to use my discount code Old Boy Podcast for 15% off. And here we are in that realm. In speaking of it, I want to go back to the CBD for a second, because you had said you'd been working on that formulation for a year, obviously not knowing that the accident's going to happen. And, I mean, we can't 100% say, but it definitely shortened your recovery. I would go ahead and go out on a limb and say saved your life, or at least the quality of life that you have now. Why was that already in the works? Like, where were you thinking of going with this product?
Well, I'm a rodeo cowboy, and I'm wearing Ariat. I'm wearing Polaris. I'm wearing these brands and making these people money. And I thought to myself, that's a very powerful thing. I'm in front of thousands of people around the nation. And why don't I have my own brand? Like, what the hell? You've been missing out on 12 years of really publicizing your own brand. And so I have some close friends here in our community that I've been trying to be sponsored by, trying to do any sort of business with. And when the Farm Bill passed in 2018, they came to me and said, hey, you know what, there's an opportunity right now in the CBD world and hemp manufacturing, and we would like to partner with you. What are your thoughts? And, quickly I thought, no, the marijuana misconception of marijuana and CBD is a real thing, especially here in the state of Utah, if you could only imagine. And the name that my dad built, the legacy of the Fields, my dad started that. I did not want to diminish that. And so I went home and prayed about it. And then I called my brother and I'm like, hey, Shad, this is what's going on. This is Mowers. They presented me this opportunity. He says, you are a dumbass that you're even calling me. You say yes. If you can partner with a family like that's been in business for however many years they've been and been very successful, you're dumb. You call them right now. And so I was like, all right, thanks, Chad. That's what I needed. So me and my brother were extremely close. My mom, my sister. So I lean on them a lot. And so we started formulating some products, and we finally narrowed it down. I was leaving for the winter rodeo in February, and my partner, he says, hey, these are the bottles that you like the best. Give them to some friends, see what they think. See how you like it. And so, I had some test samples with me down there that year. We opened the website, launched it, and then the accident happened. And it was like, here's my testimony. This is God sent. Like, it's not snake oil. We own our fields. We don't have any middlemen. We own the crop all the way to the bottle. And so I know what it is. It works. It was put on this earth for a reason. And I'm very proud of my products. Still have Power Pro up and going and running. We're coming out with some new products here pretty quick. And to do the business thing while I was rodeo and didn't interest me. I loved wearing the patch and I loved having a business, but at the same time, I was still pretty tunnel vision on being on winning another world title.
Sure.
But now the business now we're at it 6 years. We're successful, and I've learned a shit ton about business. And one of the things that I really like about it's not you got to be an expert about your products, and you got to understand what the product is, even if it's just labor. If you have laborers or whatever it is, but you got to be an expert. But at the same time, it's no different than rodeo. It's who you know and how well do you know them, and your connections and your network of people is very, very powerful. And I think that's the thing that I like the most about business is the relationships.
And well, you think about it, it's a lot like that behind the chute. Whether you like you were talking about earlier, whether it be the cattle broker or the cameraman, or same way in business, whether it's the guy shipping the product out or the guy formulating it or your business partner, like they all have their place in it and they all mean something to you.
Exactly. So since Power Pro, I've ventured out. Shad and I, my brother, we bought a cowboy cap company, war bonnet cowboy hats, and my dad meant a lot to us. And his last words were, "Just do what's right." And so every hat that we sell, I don't know if you can see it, but it says just do what's right. And so it's since my brother's accident, since he's wrecked his plane and has the things that he goes through and battles every day. We don't get to go and snowmobile and hike to the top of the mountain and push each other now. So it's been an extreme blessing for me to have the cowboy hat company with my brother, doing business with him. And he's a very intelligent guy. I got the talent, but he got the brains for sure. And to have a big brother, to have him in my back pocket advising me all the time on how to handle things and what to go after is something fun. And then with that, I started a fulfillment company in Springville, Utah. A lot of moving parts, a lot of relationships. It's a fast-paced business. It's been a learning curve. The technology side of it and the software. I haven't had a laptop since 2007 or 8 when I was in college, and so this year I got a laptop last July, and so learning how to operate technology again and understanding it. It's definitely been a learning curve, but it ain't no different than getting bucked off or getting smashed from the chute. It's just, all right, but don't do that again. We got to figure out what's next and how to accomplish it.
And this time, instead of hurting your body, all it does is hurt your pocketbook.
Yeah. Hey, I remember the first paycheck I got from Power Pro. We profited after 2 years, and I got that paycheck and I was like, I had tears in my eyes. And I said, this is the first time I can honestly say I've never abused my body for money. And it was like, the first time I won my $1,000 as an amateur bareback rider. There was never a poor day again.
Oh my gosh, that's absolutely hilarious. There's a couple of things there with some of those businesses. One, small world. You were talking about the challenges of software and warehousing and manufacturing and fulfillment. That's part of what I did in my first career before barbecue was I did ERP systems and software systems that were used in fulfillment centers, et cetera. So when you were talking about that being one of the challenges, I was like, well, if you ever have any questions, old boy, I've been out of the game for a hot minute, but I at least understand the principles. But you're right. I mean, fulfillment's one of those businesses. It's quick paced. It's all about turns. The quicker you can turn inventory, the quicker you can turn the slots, quicker you can make your in and out fees. At the same time, too, depending on how specialized it is, it can also be there's one every 10 miles. So you got to have your shit pretty tight, too.
Oh, exactly. The competition is real. Just like in the bareback riding, but again, across the interstate, there's launch fulfillment. Went knocked on their door. We've become great friends, and we're helping each other.
Absolutely.
We send them clients, they send us clients. Some people we can fulfill for, or kit, or pack out, whatever it be. They can't. There's obligations that you have to meet for these different clients, and a lot of the time, their facilities can't operate like ours, and so. It's just like rodeo. It's your relationships, your network of people, and the other fulfillment companies that let us have a tour of their facilities. They don't have to do that, and they allow it. And It's heartwarming, honestly. It's so the transition from rodeo to business for me, there's definitely some challenges with scheduling and my wife, my kids. There's some things that are definitely different, but it's it's a blast. I'm really enjoying the business world and the transition.
Well, I love it, and it's you can feel the energy. You can you're not just saying it, like you can tell as you talk about these businesses, the passion and you're enjoying growing it. And I feel like too, like as a father, you get to you still get to teach your kids this cowboy way of life, but at the same time too, now they're getting to see a whole entrepreneurial side of you that's going to open up so many more options for them in this world and make them so much more well-rounded.
Yeah, and honestly, I live for my family. They're what make my clock tick, and my
Yep.
kids and being an example to my kids and being there for my wife whenever whatever she needs. That's my main goal, and to teach my kids business because if they go into sports or rodeo especially, yeah, definitely will have an upper hand on the competition. I can teach them a few things on how to win and the things that it takes to win. But as far as business, this is a new realm for me. But the foundation that I built to be a champion is the same foundation I'm using in business, and the example that I'm being for my kids. And while I'm educating myself, my daughter's sitting there right on the couch and watching me, go through and study YouTube videos on any sort of business that I'm studying. And
Mm-hmm.
now my daughter, she's got James Fresh Chicken Coop, and she delivers dozens of eggs, around our neighborhood. She has a little Polaris razor, and she has orders come through, and she goes and gets her eggs, cleans them off, and delivers them. And to see her do that and get excited about making $5.50 off some eggs I'm right there with her. I'm having a blast. I'm high fiving her. I'm just like a kid with her. So it's a fun spot I'm at in life right now.
Well, damn, she beat me to it. I wasn't selling eggs out of my backyard until 12. She's ahead of me, man. She's on it, Kaycee.
She's a
The other
unique
thing,
little girl.
dude, I absolutely love it. But that's from the example you and your wife are setting for, and that's awesome. Like that's what parenting's about. You know what I mean? The other thing I got to ask is, War Bonnet over there, do y'all have any size 8s? I got a big dome, and the reason I've never had a cowboy hat is nobody makes one big enough.
Hey, next time you're coming through Utah, we'll size you up and make you the best hat you'll ever have.
Hey, I'm going to take you up on it. And I got to tell you, the funny part is, I was cooking the Berkshire Hathaway annual meeting this past weekend, and I believe they own Justin, right? And so they let each one of the brands like have these little booths. And it's funny, one of our guys, Dave Agnew from Texas, only guy at Traeger that always wears a cowboy hat. And Dave's been there 10 years, and he always wears a hat. So the three of us that are doing the quick tour of the trade show are like, well, dude, we should all just, these are discount prices. Like, we should all grab a cowboy hat and take it back and just kind of mess with Agnew a little bit. And so first two guys walk in and they're looking at the hats, and I walk in, and I shit you not, Kaycee, I stood there for 15 seconds, and the lady looked at me and goes, oh, hell no, we don't have anything to fit that head. And I was like, all right, got it. Kind of tucked on out of the booth and moved on.
We'll take care.
It was funny when I saw you guys were in the hat business. I was like, I got to give Kaycee a hard time about this. But I love. We've already almost chewed up an hour, and I don't want to take any more of your time. But I could definitely see me having you back on. But like, this has been so much fun. Like, I've done a bunch of these, but this one's like super special. And I think a lot of it just comes to like that mentality and mindset, and you just weren't going to let anything stop you. And in doing that, became, the most world championships in bareback riding. I mean, to me, that's GOAT status. And then to see you take that same passion and same focus and the thing that made you a champion there and the best at it, you're now taking and applying to business. And when I think about it, like, what's this podcast about? And when we were starting it, like, what did I want it to be? It's this. It's talking about how you approach day-to-day life with grit and blue collar and dirt under your fingernails, and apply that into so many other areas of your life. And you're a living example of it, man.
Well, I really appreciate that, Chad. I really do. I've been extremely blessed. I've got great friends, my family, um, and life's good. If you look for the good, there's good everywhere. But if you look for the bad, you're going to be distracted and you're going to have a shitty life. But you know, life. God wants good for us. God, I want good for my friends. I love to see my friends succeed and be successful. I love to watch other people that built something from nothing and made something of it. Um, and I think that's something that I enjoy the most right now, where I'm at in life is yeah, I did well in rodeo. I had a lot of success, but I have no experience in anything else. And just like getting on a bucking horse you've never been on, you don't know what the hell's going to happen. But if you're determined and you put your nose down to the grindstone, the hard work does pay off. And that's where I'm at. I'm back on the spur board. I'm back getting on young horses. I'm figuring things out. I'm figuring out what rigging's good or bad, and
Yep.
it's a fun stage of life.
Back to basics, baby. Just a whole other application. I love it. And one thing before I let you wrap up with us is ask this of every guest. After going through this discussion, and then you've got a heck of a network, is there one or two people that kind of come to mind that like, oh man, I think Chad would really enjoy chatting with, or him and Chad would vibe pretty well? Anybody that comes top of mind?
My brother,
Awesome.
yeah, my brother's the man, and to hear his story and what he's done in his life is, you want to talk about some motivation. Let's
do it.
He's a motivating guy. He's ambitious. He's a winner. He's very intelligent, like I said, and he is full of shit. He definitely got that side from my mom.
Kaycee, once again, thanks so much for the time. Guys, as I said before, one of my favorite podcasts I've done. This was awesome. If you cannot get motivated to wake up and be a better person tomorrow, have those goals written down and go chase them, shit, just unsubscribe. You totally missed the point of this last hour. But Kaycee, thanks so much. And to our listeners, I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Until next time, take care, guys. Thank you so much for listening to the Old Boy Podcast. Please subscribe, like, set your notifications, whatever you got to do to make sure you're getting the latest episodes. Also, feel free to go back, whether it be YouTube, Spotify, Apple, get some of the past episodes, check those out, and always feel free to check out our socials, Old Boy Podcast. Thank you so much.